Thank you.
All right, we'll switch now to foreign policy. President Biden did live up to one campaign promise today. He returned things to normalcy. His UN General Assembly speech was boring and largely unremarkable. That, of course, stands in stark contrast to those of his predecessor, President Trump. Here's a sample from Mr. Biden today.
We'll all suffer the consequences of our failure if we do not come together to address the urgent threats like COVID-19 and climate change, or enduring threats like nuclear proliferation. We've ended 20 years of conflict in Afghanistan. And as we close this period of relentless war, we're opening a new era of relentless diplomacy.
Unlike President Trump, where for better or worse you always knew what he was saying, Mr. Biden's diplomatic prose sometimes require deciphering. For that, we bring in John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the UN, former national security advisor as well. Good to see you, sir. Relentless war to relentless democracy. Do you have any idea what that means?
No, and I'm not sure Joe Biden does either. I agree with you on this speech. This is about as unremarkable as I've heard from an American president at the UN in a long time. He didn't say anything really that was new, and what you could maybe qualify as new didn't really mean anything. So it was a really poor performance, and that strikes me as significant. This is a huge opportunity for Biden to address the world. Some presidents have looked at this as the chance to give a State of the World speech, and he gave a 20 or 30 minutes of cliches.
20 or 30 minutes of cliches, but he did talk about a couple of issues. We did a word count through his speech. He mentioned COVID 9 times, climate 14 times, China 0 times. How do they read that in Beijing?
Well, he did get a reference into Xinjiang, which I guess may qualify for the cultural genocide that the Chinese government is engaging in there. But it's a good example. In a way, it was a domestic speech. He knows COVID is on the minds of Americans, understandably, and he knows many people are concerned about climate change. But in terms of addressing international problems, other than a passing reference to Afghanistan, a passing reference to nuclear proliferation, passing references to China's abuses and Russia's, really a lot of these problems simply went by the boards. And I think many people were waiting for the key parts of the speech and then suddenly found the speech was over.
One part caught our eye as it related to the use of U.S. military power. Take a listen.
U.S. military power must be our tool of last resort, not our first. And it should not be used as an answer to every problem we see around the world.
Again, how do our adversaries see that?
They say hallelujah. That's exactly what they want to hear. And it's a bromide anyway. Of course, nobody looks for conflict. The point of having a strong military and capabilities that we seek is for deterrence, to convince your adversaries that it will never be in their interest to use force against us or our friends or allies. So denigrating our own capabilities really doesn't get him any points with our adversaries, and I think confuses and worries our friends.
Well, this, I think you'd agree, was in stark contrast to President Trump. Here was the former president, your old boss, in 2019. Take a listen.
Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
We know how you feel about the former president. You wrote a book about it. But is there value in being that direct?
Of course there is. Look, in America, straight talking is still seen as a virtue. And again, with the spotlight of the world, nothing gets international coverage like this opening week of the UN General Assembly, as a president has a chance to speak to a lot of people around the world. And the reaction in the General Assembly Hall isn't what you're looking for. It's the reaction internationally. George W. Bush used to talk about his speeches to the General Assembly as visits to the Wax Museum. But the spotlight that you get, the eyes on him around the world, it was a missed opportunity today.
a visit to the Wax Museum. We'll leave it there, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you. It's always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.